Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Hello and welcome back to Big Mouth, and you can keep this and any other conversation I ignite going over on my Twitter at Movies TV Mad, my Vero at Big Mouth 1, and the extension to this channel is my Instagram, Big Mouth. So welcome to the Star Wars show, and we're going to be responding to Victor Van Doomcock's latest video. I love creative people. I love people who take advantage of situations and make some cash for themselves. I love them, love them, love them. I enjoy watching Victor Van Doomcock's videos. He seems like a very intelligent, very creative guy, and as I say, creativity is a great thing. But I'm sorry, Mr. Doomcock, I'm not buying everything you're telling me. No, hang on. Now, I've got his latest video. I'm going to play elements of it and react to it because I don't want to play the whole thing. It's about 20 minutes long. But I want to tell you about something. Now, for ages now, Doomcock has been giving these videos where he's got an insider and he's heard about 5 or 6 cuts of The Rise of Skywalker. Apparently, there's problems behind the scenes which they don't really talk about. Apparently, people have walked out of test screenings, blah-de-blah-de-blah. There's been reshoots. Right, so let me tell you one thing. All directors, all creatives have multiple cuts of films. Sometimes 5, sometimes 20, sometimes 30. Do you know what they do, Mr. Doomcock? You won't know this, or maybe you do. This is what they do. Now, the public think having multiple cuts is a crazy. Why would you have multiple cuts? Because that's the process of putting a film together. You have loads of them, and then you get to the one that you choose the one that you want. Because at the end of the day, you have multiple cuts because you keep on going to the studio, showing them what you've got, and they say, well, a little bit of less of that, a little bit more of that, a bit more lighter colour palettes there, a bit darker there, less of that fight there, less of that kissing there. That's what you get. So you have multiple cuts. That's how it works. So you do your first cut, right? You show it to the studio. They want you to change something, and you compromise, or you say, do you know what? Yeah, you're right. I could change things there. You do a second cut. The same thing happens. They want you to change something else. A third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a 20th, a 30th cut. This is how the process of filmmaking by committee works, right? Because Disney are the committee. When you work for Disney, you know that, right? You're not making indie, pure art house movies when you're making a Disney movie. It's not a bad thing. There's a time and a place for art house movies, right? And Star Wars isn't it. So the multiple cuts thing is true, and every filmmaker working for a studio does it. In fact, even indie directors have different cuts. This is how you make a film, because perfectionists cut one and they say, oh, I don't like that cut. Then they do another, oh, a bit less of that, a bit more of that. So that's how it works, right? So there is no drama in having multiple cuts of your film. Reshoots, right? Reshoots are part of the game. They've always been part of the game, but it's a lot more now. With the internet, with Twitter, with Instagram, YouTube especially, studios and creatives can see what we're saying. So if they've done something they think we're not going to like, they go back and reshoot new things. Just because what happened with Justice League in the reshoots, it doesn't mean reshoots is a dirty word. So again, there is nothing dramatic with reshooting a movie or kind of making more cuts or touching up your movie just a few weeks before release. I've heard this so many times. Bryan Singer was doing it with Superman Returns. Many directors do this. So again, this is not dramatic. I'm sure Doomcock actually knows this isn't a big deal. But obviously he knows that the consumer doesn't know that. So this is going to get him lots of clicks, lots of views. Good luck to you, Doomcock. But the point is, you've got to understand something, that The Rise of Skywalker isn't a troubled production. Now, J.J. Abrams, Lucasfilm and Disney, and even creator George Lucas, have decided that everything should knit together. This should be the conclusion of the Skywalker saga. But how has Doomcock been able to profit from all these videos and create this artificial narrative, an atmosphere that there are problems at Lucasfilm? Of course, it's The Last Jedi. We need to go back to The Last Jedi. I haven't seen the film for ages, and I must go back to it. I've said many a times on this channel that I feel, my personal opinion, that Star Wars The Last Jedi is a very underwhelming movie, mainly because of what it gives me at the end. I was expecting Empire Strikes Back, a big twist, and actually Johnson gives us a lot of big twists. The problem is with his twists, they underwhelm your emotions. They don't excite you for the next chapter. So what happened for me at the end of The Last Jedi, I just wasn't excited about Star Wars anymore. That film did that to me. But then there's many people from the audience who love The Last Jedi. Critics think it's better than Empire, which to me is insane. But does The Last Jedi deserve the reaction it got? Well, if you hated it, of course it does. But does it deserve Rian Johnson to be called fathead and other insults? And, a lot of you people from the Fandom Menace say, Rian Johnson is insulting the fans. He's not insulting general fans. He's insulting you people who are insulting you. If you're going to go onto Twitter and attack someone, I've quote tweeted him many times in a constructive way. And I haven't kissed his arse or anything. And he's never said a dicky bird to me. A dicky bird, right? The point is, if you go in aggressively at someone, they're going to defend themselves. Just because he's a filmmaker, just because he works for Hollywood, it doesn't mean you've got the right to insult him. So for me, his movie, The Last Jedi, is an underwhelming movie that underwhelmed my emotions for Star Wars past, present, and future. That's what that film did for me. Because here's the thing, and I've said this before, Rian Johnson can only be Rian Johnson. He was told he could make any movie he wanted. The mistake by Kathleen Kennedy was that she didn't give him a Star Wars story, like Rogue One or something like that, where they could have said to him, you know what, Rian, here's the clay, mould it any way you want. I bet you $200 billion, which I don't have on me right now, right, conveniently, you all would have loved that movie because Rian would have made, a kind of a standalone movie that had nothing to do with the Skywalker saga any way that he wanted, and you would have loved it. The problem is with what Rian did with The Last Jedi, it was part of a trilogy. J.J. Abrams did a really good Force Awakens movie, a good Star Wars movie, right? He sowed these seeds, these questions. Who's Rey? Who's Finn? I remember the night me and my brother-in-law were talking about The Force Awakens. Oh, could Finn have something, some kind of lineage with Samuel L. Jackson's character from the prequels? Who's Rey? It was exciting. He did a good job. Some of you don't like his mystery box elements. And again, Fandom Menace, when you go after someone and call them Jar Jar Abrams, that's not constructive criticism, but it gets you an audience. It makes you money. And I understand. And congratulations. As I say, I love the fact that you, like the Fandom Menace, are very creative. You're making a profit. But do you believe in the things that you're saying? I very much doubt it. But you're doing very well for yourselves. And as I say, good luck to you. I used to really believe in your little movement. I don't anymore because I clashed with one of you. And then that opened my eyes. You know what? I don't hold any grudges, but it opened my eyes to your movement, to what you have to say. You do speak some logic, but it's the way you speak it. It's the aggression. And for me, that's no good. So that's when I decided to give The Rise of Skywalker a chance. Because guess what? The Rise of Skywalker isn't The Last Jedi. As J.J. Abrams said, is there films that I don't agree with? Are there things in films I don't agree with? I still love Star Wars. And it's the same with me. I still love J.J. Abrams from the moment I saw the Alias series. Genius, right? Show me where he steals in that. Or he steals from James Bond. Can't we have any spy thrillers anymore, right? Back then, it wasn't even fashionable to have female leads. And what he did with that series was amazing. Lost, again, the mystery box element really worked with that TV series. Criticise it as much as you want. Does mystery box storytelling working with Star Wars? It can do, if done properly. The mistake by Kennedy and Abrams with this trilogy was that if Abrams wrote and directed all three movies, there would never have been a problem. And that is their mistake. But you know what? Everyone's entitled to their mistakes, and everyone is allowed to try and make another movie and try and fix maybe what they got wrong. For me, Rian Johnson made an underwhelming movie, but a lot of people love this movie. For me, It's not a classic. It's not comparable to any Star Wars film. I even was more excited and pumped after watching Solo than I was The Last Jedi. But as I say, that's my individual opinion. At the end of the day, a mistake was made, and they know it. They know Rian Johnson's movie. Now, someone like Mark Kermode, a British critic, was calling us people who don't like The Last Jedi, raving whinge bags. And his review of Knives Out teaches us a lesson, apparently. I said to him that just because Knives Out happens to be a good movie, it doesn't mean the stuff we said about what he did with The Last Jedi is wrong. It's about talking constructively, though, right? Because once you go off on it and you insult people, everything gets lost. And that's what I've never really wanted to do. So let's watch elements of Doomcock's video. I watched it last night, and really, when you watch it properly, there's nothing really there.
And that news is not good. Since my last video, I have been contacted by a brand new source with knowledge of the production, presenting new information whose provenance seems, to my eyes, authentic and convincing. That said, however, as always, I am in a position only to report that I have received this information from the source or sources purporting to be in the know, and that pending further confirmation I must...
You see, the truth of the matter is Doomcock doesn't have a source. Who follows who's subscribed to Mike Zero's channel? I like Mike Zero, but the point is, all these people are getting this information from Reddit, right? It's all there. There are no sources. These are the claim leaks. I say and I claim that J.J. Abrams, Disney and Lucasfilm have leaked this stuff on purpose. Stuff gets leaked on purpose. Nothing in Hollywood happens by accident. All that crap about John sorry, get my words out. John I can't say his word. Boyega. I can't say Boyega. John Boyega, right? Yeah, that crap about John Boyega leaving his script underneath. It's all bullshit, and it's great fun. I'm enjoying the banter. I mean, John's been great on Twitter. He's just really taking the mickey, isn't he? But yeah, he didn't really forget his script. The leaks have been done purposely, and they're all on Reddit to see. Basically, Mike Zero hasn't got any sources, and neither has Doomcock. And that's the thing. So that's the first thing to remember here.
For everything I'm about to tell you as rumor, even the confirmation of rumors I have previously reported. Warning, potential spoilers lie beyond this point. My news source has direct knowledge of Rise of Skywalker, and this source states, quote, "It bored the F out of me." And even more chillingly, my source states unequivocally their belief that Rise of Skywalker, quote, "might be worse than The Last Jedi." This film...
And let's not forget, Doomcock is doing everything in his power to get you, the Star Wars fans, to boycott this movie. There's nothing more that the fandom menace would love than for this film to flop. Even someone on the comment section of this video says even if he crosses $1 billion, it's going to lose money because of the amount of reshoots they've done. That's absolute nonsense. So every film that has plenty of reshoots all of a sudden is going to be a flop if they cross $1 billion. I'm sorry, stop making things up so you can fulfill your wishes and your narrative and your agenda.
Was reportedly, quote, all over the place. It felt confusing. According to my source, the narrative connection of events is threadbare. Things unfold because they have to, not because they logically should. The story seems to largely consist of multiple MacGuffin-style modular plots, achievements moving from one planet/set piece to the next. In other words, this thing is more like a video game than a story.
More like a video game than a story? You mean lots of epic CGI battles and laser fights and, lightsaber fights, and they're going from planet to planet and they're in spaceships? Isn't that part of the reason we watch Star Wars, Mr. Doomcock? Because it is for me. It sounds actually you're not actually driving me off of this film. You're actually driving me towards it.
This comes as no surprise, given the allegation that there are between 5 and a dozen different cuts of the film. Because if true, this modular approach to filmmaking, keeping scenes that tested better and discarding other scenes and inserting new ones to replace them without consideration for the underlying narrative coherence, all but guarantees a kind of jagged and disjointed narrative that won't make sense upon close examination.
He talks about the 5 or 6 cuts. 5 or 6 cuts, Mr. Doomcock. That's nothing in the process of filmmakers. I've known filmmakers who have 20 cuts, 30 cuts. It's part of the process of filmmaking. And yes, big companies test things. Now, from my experience and what I've always heard is that actually Disney don't do proper test screenings. The only test screenings they kind of do with family, friends, with studio execs, everyone sits there, and this is how they pull the film that they're watching apart. And sometimes there'll be things that people don't like. So from my knowledge, I don't actually think this film's had a test screening, but I could be wrong. And they could be lying because apparently J.J. Abrams has said this hasn't had a proper test screening. So, look, it's very, very interesting who's telling the truth. But I can tell you that Disney, especially with the MCU, doesn't normally have test screenings. But normally, big companies do test their product before they put it in the public arena. And that's not a big deal.
This is what happens when you treat a script like brickwork, and characters and entire scenes are treated like bricks to be inserted, yanked, and replaced upon demand. My source was...
That, Mr. Doomcock, is how modern-day filmmakers and studios make films. Again, this is nothing new and nothing dramatic.
Adamant they would not recommend that friends bother to go see Rise of Skywalker, and from all I've heard, I'm not surprised. In this video, I'm going to share specific plot details previously reported as rumors that my source now confirms as factual. But first, I want to address the attacks from shills disputing the rumors I addressed.
Yeah, he's now going to attack people because they've got opinions on what he says. Look, Mr. Doomcock, at the end of the day, when you come out with things like this, when you've got a concerted campaign to destroy a movie, to destroy people's careers, people are going to come at you. If you can't handle that, you shouldn't be doing this. Right. Now, I have heard a few things about what's going to happen in this film. These are rumours. These are coming from Mike Zero's videos. So one of the things we already know is at the end of the movie, and I think this is true, these leaks are true. They've leaked this stuff on purpose. They want us to know certain elements. That's why they're not really denying many things and not really commenting on this stuff as well. So one of the things is, so in episode 1, we were told that Anakin Skywalker is the chosen one. And in Revenge of the Sith, you've got Obi-Wan saying, "You were the chosen one. You were meant to unite the Force, not destroy it," or whatever he says, right? So the whole point is, the rumour is for Rise of Skywalker, is that actually it's Rey that's the chosen one, and she was always the chosen one, and Anakin was never supposed to be the chosen one. Now, this is can be seen as both positive and negative. How can Anakin be the chosen one if he let the dark side dominate him? How can he be the chosen one if he allowed himself to be manipulated by Palpatine, right? How can he be the chosen one? You're not the chosen one if you go down the dark side. So, in a way, there's logic to this narrative. But if you choose to want to hate everything you hear about this film, you're going to say, this is terrible. They've decided that a female replaces a male as the chosen one. And there is that. There is that. And you can be triggered by that, or you can wait and see the film. I know that's very old-fashioned. Wait and see the film. See what you make about all this. Then have your opinion. Then do your videos by all means. What do I think about this? I think that Anakin can't be the chosen one because he went down the dark side anyway. I don't really have a problem with this. Also, they're still calling Rey and Mary Sue, even though they actually now know. Let's be honest, this is a fact. She's Palpatine's granddaughter. If she's Palpatine's granddaughter, she can't be a Mary Sue. If she's Palpatine's granddaughter, that means she would be force sensitive. We know that. And she probably wouldn't really need much training. So this is a way of explaining how she hasn't had much training, right? So you can say things have come easy to her, but to call her a Mary Sue, I think it's a bit too much. But the female character that was in this week's episode of The Mandalorian, people have started calling her a Mary Sue. How far do we go? So this is why some people attack Luke Skywalker, right? Because People are calling every female in Star Wars a Mary Sue. As soon as they see a female in Star Wars, these people get triggered. And they defend themselves by saying, yeah, but we like Leia. Yeah, you like Leia. You like Leia, yeah? If Leia all of a sudden became the hero of that, you wouldn't like her anymore. If it turned out in the sequel trilogy that actually it was all about Leia and actually Luke wasn't even Vader's real child, what would you say about that? You'd soon change your mind about Leia. Anyway, right, the whole point here is you can twist anything to be a negative. Wait till you see the film. That's what I say to you. Wait till you see the movie. Yeah, this rumour, you can take it as negative, but I think I have no problem with Rey calling herself Rey Skywalker. Why? She's not trying to replace Luke. She's trying to honour him. She's not trying to replace Anakin. She's trying to honour these people's sacrifice. This family have sacrificed so much, and it's an honour for her to take its name. She's not trying to insult them. Now, whether you want to make this point that politically they've decided to replace a female, basically that's what they're doing. Moffat did this with Clara on Doctor Who as well, didn't he? Basically, she was with the Doctor when he was a baby. She literally told him what he had to do. So, you know, these things could be seen as positive or negative. Unfortunately, this is the arena and atmosphere we're in now. Now, if you choose to walk away from these films because of that, you're going to lose a hell of a lot of enjoyment. And what I would say is sample the product before you hate it.
And calling me a liar. First of all, everything I've reported has been shared as rumors because candidly I've admitted I lack the resources of a major news bureau to independently verify the claims of my sources. I, therefore, am only reporting that I did in fact receive the information from an outside source, and this is absolutely true. Now, regarding the content of...
Basically, this video goes on and on and on and on and on like that. He hasn't really got much information. He does talk about this device that they got. Basically, this is another rumor also that Mike Zero reported, that there is this MacGuffin of this thing that can help you cross to the netherworld of the Force. And this is how they see the dead, like Yoda, like Anakin. Anakin's supposed to play a part in this movie. Mike Zero's claiming that they cut the scenes of Hayden actually being there physically and it's just his voice. Again, we will see. The truth is, there's so many conflicting rumours coming out about this film. Nobody knows what's true or not. But I'm going to tell you something else. Now, this film originally we were told this was going to be the longest film in Star Wars history. It's actually not. It's about 2 hours, 25 minutes, right? It was meant to be near close on to 3 hours. This is part of the point of a film having multiple cuts so they could decide on the length, right? They obviously decided they didn't want to draw this film out. But I would absolutely bet anything that there will be a 3-hour cut of The Rise of Skywalker for home release. So that's really exciting. So what is my takeaway from all this? Doomcock's trying to convince us not to go and see this film. The Fandom Menace don't want us to see this film. They will tell you, I am not telling you what I'm going to do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I'm going to do, right? So basically, they are telling you to boycott it. It's up to them what they do. As I say, I love creative people. The Fandom Menace have even got their name to come out of J.J. Abrams' lips because they've made a lot of noise. And they have hurt Disney up to a point. They have. There's no question about that. That's an amazing achievement. And this comes from being triggered from The Last Jedi. Without The Last Jedi, there is no Fandom Menace. And a critic didn't like me saying that. Without what happened with The Last Jedi, there's no geeks and gamers, right? There's no SC reviews. There's no world-class bullshitters. They'll be there, but they won't be making any money and they won't have all the subscribers, right? They were able to take advantage of a situation from their frustration and their anger about a movie. Now, the problem is with the reason they hate The Last Jedi is because of the political elements, left-wing elements that are in those films. But that's not why. I was merely underwhelmed by what that film did and the so-called twists. Didn't work for me, and it just took my excitement away from Star Wars for a very long time. But now that J.J. Abrams is back, the man who brought us The Force Awakens, which was a really, really good film. You all loved it when you first saw it. Now you're saying, yeah, but when I thought about it, I didn't like it anymore. Nonsense. You're just trying to further your agenda, and you're just trying to convince us that this isn't going to be a very good film. No. The Force Awakens, Rogue One, The Last Jedi, Solo, are nowhere near the quality of George Lucas's 6 Star Wars films. I am a prequel defender. I'm a prequel lover, and I obviously love the man's original trilogy. I love all 6 movies. They're nowhere near what Lucas did with the prequels, and too many dumbasses didn't understand. All you who hate the prequels, he did something amazing. He had this guy manipulating a whole civilization so he could be this vicious dictator and take over everything. His plan is genius, which makes George Lucas a genius. So the prequels are amazing. Episodes 4, 5, and 6 are amazing, and obviously Disney Star Wars is nowhere near of that quality. And the reason for that is, firstly, they didn't use George's 7, 8, and 9. But again, I understand why they didn't do that, because all you lot, the same people who say you hate the Disney sequel trilogy, hated George Lucas's prequels, and you blatantly said it online. You didn't want George Lucas anywhere near the sequel trilogy. And that's why Disney were too scared to have his 7, 8, and 9 adapted for the film. So then they were at a disadvantage. They had to do something themselves. J.J. Abrams comes in and does a really good job with The Force Awakens. The Last Jedi, his Last Jedi, would have been great. And there would have been none of this controversy if J.J. had done all 3 movies. So they have made mistakes. But for me, with The Mandalorian, they are learning from their mistakes. No, The Mandalorian is, again, nowhere near George Lucas's 6 movies. But it has heart, it has soul, and this Baby Yoda thing has just captured everyone's imagination. It's captured everybody's hearts again. Having a little child version of Yoda, he's adorable, but you see this tough guy, really caring about this little child as well. And I think that's why The Mandalorian really works. So I think there's going to be better Star Wars. I can't wait for the Obi-Wan series, but I'm not going to lose my crap just because they may have a female-led thing. The whole thing with a lot of people as well, and most of the fandom menace, they don't like Rey because she's female. Now, they can keep on twisting it and defending it, but that's the truth. Yes, there are elements of what they say about Disney Star Wars that I absolutely agree with. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what would have happened, they still would have lost their collective shit because she's female. Daisy Ridley is a very capable actor. And in The Force Awakens, I really fell in love with Rey. I thought she was amazing, not romantically, but I liked her character. I liked the dynamic between her and Finn. The problem with what Rian Johnson did in The Last Jedi, he kept those characters apart and he created new dynamics, like he was making a separate movie. That was the mistake. The mistake isn't really Rian Johnson's. It's Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams from walking away after 1 movie. You can't walk away, J.J. You should have done all 3 movies. That's where your mistake was. And Rian Johnson, if you really wanted him to make a Star Wars movie, should have done a standalone Star Wars story and everything would have been all right. But my final verdict about all of this is that everybody makes mistakes. Live and let live. Go and watch The Rise of Skywalker and make your own minds up. Don't listen to a bunch of people playing a flute and expecting you to follow them. They're just a bunch of Pied Pipers and they get off on it. They get off on it. Don't let them win. Go and watch the film, and if you don't like it, then talk about it. Nobody's telling you can't not like something. People are telling you, I'm telling you, not telling you, advising you, go and see the film. You don't want Disney to make billions of dollars? Guess what, everyone? Disney are going to carry on making billions of dollars. Whatever you talk about on your YouTube channels, yes, the fandom menace have hurt them financially. They hurt them financially with Solo. There's no question about that. But Solo was the film nobody wanted. So we don't really know if that film was always going to be a failure. Obviously, what happened with The Last Jedi didn't help the situation. But if that was a film everyone was excited about, nobody would even care what the fandom menace was saying. go and watch The Rise of Skywalker because I can't wait to see it. If you like the video, smash a like on it, please. Please comment down below. Please be constructive with your comments. And I'll see you next time with more Star Wars chat. Bring on The Rise of Skywalker, whether it's good, crap, or indifferent.